Let's go over loose our basics. So when we do, let's talk about the two different types of side control first of all. So whenever we show side control, we're going to go here and here, connect our hands, and just like everybody talks about side control like in this position, which is right. Okay, it's true. We bundle them up and try and bring them to us. But then I would say it's the two types. That's when your opponent is really is tired out and you've already sealed the position in. The other type is just as I pass my guard, I want to be on my toes and driving into them and really making them struggle. But I don't really like to make much distinction myself between the two, because usually I just try to stay on my toes all the time, unless I need to like get a higher position to attack. So what I mean by that is instead of being here and just like sucking him up off the mat here like this, which is good, I like to drop my shoulder onto his sternum, not so much his sternum actually, sorry, more like his clavicle like here. Okay, we're going to think about that. We're not going onto the face today. This is good, like if your opponent's turning towards you aggressively, it's good to go shoulder to the jaw, right? Because it's going to stop him from turning towards you, like from facing you. But if I want to be like a threat with like submission and I want to put like really good pressure on him, I'm actually going to put my shoulder about here, just like sort of at the bare patch of the where the gi isn't covering, and I'm going to allow my shoulder to sink, okay, towards his neck. And what you'll see that difference there when I put my shoulder here and then I drop it here. That's what I get like Von Flue choke, for example, and start to set up my head and arm choke for the far side, etc. Right? So that's where I'm actually going to think about putting my shoulder today. We're going to go on our toes, and we're going to try and drive. But what I'm going to think about doing today, if we do our first position, just for positional stuff, is I'm not thinking about going downwards. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this side of Al's rib cage, and I'm going to press it across here like this. Okay? So I want you to be down low towards like the near side and thinking about crushing Al's ribs this way. Okay? That's what we're going to do. And we're going to use a very cultured term to describe where I want my chest, and that's the nipple line. All right? So this is where I want my chest about here, like here. What I don't want to see is like you're over here. Okay? Sort of belly to belly. That's not what I'm looking for. I want your nipple line. If that term makes you uncomfortable, I'll come up with another one. Pressing against their chest here like this. I want your shoulder in here on the thorax, right? Ready to drop down onto his neck. Okay? Underhook in, obviously, and I want you on your toes. So, all right? So we're going to be like a sprinter coming off the blocks here. Shoulder. Connecting my hands. Chest on this side of his body, not over the far side. And driving him across here. And now when Al goes to escape, he feels that there's not just pressure on his neck, he also feels the pressure on his chest. So I want your opponent's rib cage to be squished. Okay? So let's have a look at that, set it up again. Shoulder, thinking about dropping it here, not here. Connect your hands. Get your chest back and behind them. Open your toes and driving in here. If I'm going to bend the leg, guys, it's the one closest to his legs. Not this one necessarily, because I feel like that takes the pressure off his neck. Okay? So I want this rotation kind of here. Okay? This is how I make my guard passes stick. When I pass the guard, I want to make it stick. I want to make him as uncomfortable as possible. Try and stop him from turning into as soon as possible. It's just a position, guys, for the first few minutes. Yeah? Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Any questions, call me over. So, the goal here, just bring it a bit closer because I don't have to shout too much. The goal is going to be that the pressure, it won't submit them, okay? You might tap somebody some nights when you do this if they're not experienced or something like that, but the goal is that they're under a lot of pressure. Because very often what happens is you go in, you grab the side control position, and the guy's pinned, like he's technically not in like a good position, but you're not creating a lot because the pressure doesn't mean that they make errors. So the goal of looking at your top position here is going to be so horrible on them that they kind of panic or like they make mistakes. Okay, does that make sense to everybody, yeah? Okay, so again, pressure on this side of his chest. So I just used a demonstration there, for example. I'm going to get Al. Just take big breaths there, Al. Easy for him, right? So my hand's off the mat. I'm going to go over this side. I'm going to lean just on his other ribs. Big breaths. Yeah, okay. What's happening is the float ribs get pushed in and the diaphragm is getting affected. That's why you can't get a full breath. All right. Multiply that by 30 seconds or a minute. Every single breath he takes is shorter than the last one, and then before you know, he's going, okay, well now I need to leave because I can't stay around here for much longer, or the pressure's too much. Versus just kind of sitting on top of him and hoping something good will happen. Okay, so this is very different to what we've done a couple of weeks ago, which was where we like kind of exploded and moved very quickly to try and get our submissions. This is going to be more, shall we say, more in keeping with my style, where I'm just going to create a lot of pressure to try and make him tap. But it doesn't matter, or to make him make a mistake. But it doesn't matter whether you're like 90 kilos like me or you're 65 kilos like Alan. You're gonna do the same thing, and you're gonna make yourself feel heavier. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop this shoulder like I said here. If I see you like face his head, then you have to sacrifice something there. That might be closer to his hip, and I might need to adjust because I feel like Al's gonna try and bring his bottom knee in to try and get the guard. Okay, I'm gonna turn. But that releases the pressure on the head. Okay, so very often instead of doing that, what I'll do is I'll actually turn the other way and even like release this underhook for a second to block this leg. So instead of always like trying to like just focus on his guard, I'm going to focus on like the pressure. Does that make sense? So now Al's going to begin, going to get his frame in front of my face. He's going to begin to try and come back to his guard. I'm going to switch to one shoulder, block his leg, and scoop. Okay, not going to stay there forever. I'm going to block his hip, reattach, and get back to my position. Let's just change the angle slightly for that one. So. Same again. This is why the pressure is here, because it's a submission threat. He doesn't. Sometimes, even when you cross face somebody here, really hard, they'll like just like put up with the pain and they'll struggle their way in underneath it. Okay. But when I go here, he's thinking about not tapping because my shoulder's on his neck. Okay. So this is our first move, just to try and to keep the position. So we're going to start here. Again, good weight on his chest. Here, Al's going to try and shrimp in, move in. We're going to switch our weight to his neck, 100% on his neck. From here, Al's probably thinking about maybe he might need to tap in a couple of seconds because I can feel it's right on his neck there. And I'm going to block his leg here with my free hand. Block his hip. And now when I'm ready, I can reattach. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. If you feel, and a couple of times as your partner's moving around, if you feel you're being bridged over a lot, so you're getting rolled quite a bit in sparring, I'm just going to fix that problem in two ways. One, is your backside higher than your head? Like this. Okay. Look up in the air. It's a good sign that it is. But if you're smaller in particular and you feel that's happening to you a lot, the solution is A, make them really uncomfortable with their necks so that they can't be strong. Okay, so anytime they're uncomfortable, they can't be strong with anytime their spine is out of alignment. But the other one is to make yourself long. So it's very obvious that if Al tries to roll me over now, just a little lift. Oh, yeah, you can feel it, I'm going. If I go back out like this. No. Okay. So, lengths. Someone was asking me that a few seconds ago. Okay, so we're just going to try that guard, or anti-escape function there when he tries to get his guard back. Let's go, 3, 2, 1. I'll be happy enough, yeah? Okay, so we've done like the Von Flew and head and arm choke in the white belt class, and everybody's seen it, so I'm not going to go through that, where I'm like choking with the shoulder on the neck here. But what I'm going to have Al do now is what he really wants to do is face me, okay? And the more like he faces me, if I just like try and like fight fire with fire a little bit sometimes, I'll end up just like kind of struggling this kind of strength battle, and if he's got good escapes, maybe I'm going to give him what he wants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create all the pressure, I'm going to slow him down, and then I'm going to slide it to a new grip with my top hand, okay? So I've got my hand deep here like this. I'm creating this problem for him. He needs to get rid of this shoulder. So he's going to duck his head underneath, try and use his frame, and get his head in here like this. If I just keep fighting, as soon as he gets to his side here like this and he gets his head tucked, just take your hand up his throat so I can talk for a second. So when he tucks his chin in here now, if I try and just force back here, it's actually really hard, and usually I'll give him what he wants, which is extra space, okay? So what I'm going to do is just slide, let my hand adjust up, and I'm going to go thumb into the back of his collar, okay? So here, he starts to get his head in, I just go thumb into the collar. Okay, we can regain, we're going to do two things. One, regain the position. Open your elbow. Okay, for a crowbar. So, same again. He comes up to the side. My thumb just goes into the collar. Open your elbow. Drive him back. Happy? Couldn't be easier. Easiest move in the world, right? Number two, he comes up, gets right on his side. I'm going to go thumb in here. Okay, I need to do two things now. I'm going to take my hand and put it on his tricep here like this, and I'm going to pop my elbow on top of his ribs. Okay, I like to see his hand actually on my shoulder, and the tighter sometimes it goes here. Better for me, but we're not going to worry about that too much. I just got a quick reminder here, Al, that I need to speak. Thank you. Thanks very much. So I'm going to create a lot of pressure, and actually what I'm doing here with this one is like pulling him onto his side, like so. Okay, I put my weight now through my elbow, and my top foot steps over for submission. Okay, so the choke's going against the artery on this side when I put the thumb in, and it's like same as your guillotine or your loop choke. Okay, so let's start back. He goes to his side. I let my hand slide. I try and like open, flatten him out. Okay, good tight grip here, and like cocking my wrist up. But really important here is that I'm going to try and kill his frame and put my weight through my elbow. Okay, so right now I'm on his floating ribs with my top arm here. Very hard for him to actually escape this position. I'll explain more when we go for arm locks in a second. All I'm going to do, sit in close to his hips, pop my head up, my leg over his head, drag my heel back, pull my hand up. Pull my hand up, drag my heel back. Okay, one more time. He goes. I can't flatten him back out again. Look where my elbow is. Thumb inside the collar. Sit to your hip a little. For the finish. Happy days? Yeah, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Let's make a quick adjustment for everybody. Coming inside out. Alright, let's adjust because it's going to be important for later on. And this time I'm going to let Al stop me from talking by putting a good frame in so that we see what with the control that I'm getting. So from here, when he turns on his side, I'm going to use the fact that he's on his side. So I think the mistake that people are making is that when they get here, they're pushing him back. You put the leg in here, he might tap, but it's like usually just like a shit neck crank. He's probably going to push it off anyway. So there's not a great lot of pressure as well, because what's happening as well is if I push him to his back, this control really isn't very effective. Okay, this is just my elbow, probably just going to slip off here, or him make space. So when he comes up on his side, that's when this control is really, really effective here. This right hand of mine, this one, because the elbow's like disappeared. It's on his floating ribs. It's in front here, and this hand is stuck. And that's going to come in handy in a second. So let's go back to this choke one more time. Keep them on their side. I'm leaning back. I've got my weight through my elbow, and now that's a choke. When you bring it back here, I was going to say it's crank, but actually it's pretty much nothing, because it'll be sore, but the guy's just going to turn to his back, put your back on the mat, and it's going to be gone. So it won't be a choke or a crank, it'll just be him escaping, okay? So that here is very important. This arm is trapped, okay? And that'll be really important in a few seconds, okay? But for now, that's here. Keep him on his side. That's being nice there, wasn't it? All good? Let's try it again a couple more times. 3, 2, 1. Happy enough? Okay, so we're going to attack the far arm now instead of attacking the neck. So this time maybe he tucks his chin in, we can't get our opportunity to get there, or he's just not tapping from that. And the idea that we want to get here is that we're going to twist his arm. So remember where your optimum position is, in the same way like everybody frames. It's up against my neck, hand on my shoulder here, elbow across here like this. And when my opponent gets to his side, that can be a problem for me because he's using it to make space, or I can use it like this. So if I keep my elbow over here, he's going to get and regain his guard quite easily. So the first thing I'm going to do is do exactly what we just did. Let's forget about this hand for the moment. Don't even look at it. I said don't look at it. Okay. So from here, he turns on his side, and I'm going to drop this elbow over here. Okay, let's have a look here. Okay, that's an unrealistic submission, never going to happen. Okay, but it looks like he tapped because I'm holding him here. Okay, you see what he's going to do. He has to struggle. Okay, he's never going to tap. Well, you can see what's happening in his arm. Pulling, pushing the hand. It's like a key lock, right? So give your partner two options. He can flatten back to his back, which is good, or he can hide his hand, which is good. So no matter where he wants to hide his hand in this position, it's going to be good for us. If he wants to try and shoot, it'd be very uncommon for him to, don't do the underhook just yet, we're going to do that in a sec, but if he tries to like shoot it up this way, like shoot it straight, we're obviously going to be in a good position. If he tries to hide it on the other side of my head, we're going to be in a really good position for arm lock as well. Or if he tries to wrap it down and wipe it underneath, like this, okay, we've got options as well, okay? I like, because my hand is here, we're not going to teach it tonight, but as he drops down, slides that underhook, I like the counter for the Bravo in that position. We're not going to do that too much tonight, okay? A little bit finicky for the grab we have. So what we're going to do is, we're going to work on what happens when he hides it on the other side of my head, so on this side of my head. So as I bring it down here like this, I create this twisting pressure, and he's like, okay, I need to get my arm straight and hide it here. Okay? This is like really effective, and I wish people would try to use it more often because it's a great control position and it's great. It's a great submission as well, right? So you can see my elbow, first of all, is on his ribs. That's great. It's exactly where I want it. I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to reinforce it with my other hand. So I'm going to put my hands together like this. I'm just going to keep them just, the point where I want it was like the web of my hand, the web of my thumb is just at his elbow joint. That's perfect, okay? And I'm gripping like this. I'm not like making like any forearm motions or anything like that. So I'm just gripping here and reinforcing here, okay? Everybody happy enough with this? All right, he's hitting it on this side of my head. The leg that stepped over is going to step on his chest, like so, okay? I'm going to go knee on chest. From here, I'm just going to look at his feet, slide his hand up, and finish here. Okay? It's just a straight arm lock, guys, very simple. So again, when we go back to the start, he's got his hand in optimum position, but he fights to his side. I create this pressure here, and he's got to hide it on the other side. Making sure again, guys, that I keep my elbow across his floating ribs and slide my arm up a little bit to connect to his elbow, so I feel like the thumb, the pad of my thumb or the web of my thumb is on his elbow. Other hand goes on here. So two hands, elbows squeezed together, and the other elbow on the chest. Bring my knee up now, slide, look at his feet. Okay? Slide up, finish there. Oh good? I'm coming around, guys. One thing I really want you to watch for is that you're not going to jump into this. It's not like a flying armbar. This is a slow, controlled pressure position. Remember what we're trying to do tonight. We're trying to create like irresistible pressures that your partner has to make a mistake from. Make sense? Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so a couple of people are saying like it's difficult to get them to put their hand on this side of the head. And again, the answer is pressure. You have to get them to panic because they don't want their hand over there. So they won't put it there if they've got good instincts. So if he's got good instincts, Alan's never just going to place his hand here for me to attack. Okay? So I have to create that with other things, either with submission attempts or with pressure, so that he puts the hand over here. So you need to be kind of, you play like kind of cat and mouse. So this is again what we're talking about, like trying to force one position. Like when we were talking earlier about having side control, they turn on their sides, you just keep driving at the side control and it allows them more space. If you just keep like driving at like one submission, the guy's going to cop on pretty quickly what it is, and you want to be, creating a lot of pressure to try and get that. So What I'm trying to do is this, okay? And again, your opponent has two ways out of it. They can flatten back to their back, in which case you get your side control back. And remember, it was a problem that they came to their side. Okay? Or his other option is to hide his hand. I'll show you the submission, but like, I was just saying there, I was like, I was chatting to Owen and Peter there, and I was saying like, I do this submission attempt probably, like probably maybe a few times a month, 5-6 times a month, and I rarely get it. So it would be something that I would only make them tap to once in a blue moon, right? Really, really rarely. But they have to hide their hand. They have to move their hand to try to avoid it. They still have to avoid it. It's like just like if I just like grab the dude's neck here like this and like start squeezing, you know that wouldn't be a great submission. But equally, I still have to respect the fact that his hand's around my neck, right? So from here, when I took it back, if I put my hand in front here and I step over his head and block it, I can tap him. Okay, that will catch him. Most of the time it doesn't. He just like panics, and I get my hand over here because he's too strong, and that's how I get it. Okay, but even if I don't put my foot over the head, and I just create enough pressure here with the shoulder, I lock the arm here, he still has to try and respect it and escape the arm, because what he's also afraid of is, I'm just gonna lean and go for my straight away here, okay? Which you can do, of course, as well. Does that make sense to everybody? It was just because people were saying, I can't get them to put the hand on the other side of the head, be more nasty, and they have to do something, okay? And again, we're just dealing with the hand going on the one side of the head for now. So. Is everybody happy enough? You're all good. Any questions? Bloody hell. You serious? Got loads of the class left, like we're screwed. Suppose we've got to train Jiu Jitsu then or something. Jesus, fair enough. Everybody happy, yeah? Okay. And again, any questions towards the end of the class when we start in the position, just let me know. Okay, all good? Let's get them out, got in, water, whatever you need. Okay, let's go.